yeah. Kingdom citizen of Wisconsin. Kingdom citizen, yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen. Blessings, blessings, and blessings, and welcome to Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin, and I am your host, Dr. David D. King, and I just want to welcome each and every one of y'all here tonight. We got a great show tonight, a great show tonight. I have two candidates from two different races that's going to be with us tonight, and I just ask, like I always do, I ask you guys to tag people in so they can come on in. And I see people already coming in saying good evening. Amen. God bless you, whoever that is. I can't see your name on this one, but we're glad to have you with us tonight. I'm just setting up. Give me a second to finish. Oh, that's Liz. Bless you, Liz. Good to see you. So I'm just setting up, and we're going to be sending it out. So y'all tag your friends, your family, your loved ones. Let them know that we are on tonight. Tonight is going to be very good. I have a candidate that is running for alderman, and then I have a candidate that's running for the Supreme Court judge. So I am looking forward. I'm not going to tell you who my candidate for Supreme Court judge is. You got to stay tuned to watch. So let's get to business. First of all, let's start with all of the announcements that we need to make. And that is, why is it important to stay in the middle from a kingdom perspective? This book is now in 15 states. You need to get your copy. I just had received a great report from a very respectful man that I respect very much. Gave me a call today, and he told me how he loved the book and how inspiring and empowered the book was. Get your copy. Call 414-676-0842, 414-676-0842. Also, for Kingdom Ecclesia Academy, we're still looking for a couple of more volunteers that will volunteer at the Milwaukee Brewer games. And we don't want you to work all 81 games, but we would love for you to volunteer and work a couple of games. All the proceeds go into the school, Kingdom Ecclesia Academy. So if you would like to volunteer, please call 414-676-0842, 414-676-0842, or 414-899-2688, 414-899-2688. And if you like to get healthy and get paid at the same time, for more information, please give us a call at 414-676-0842, 414-676-0842. And then campaign co-parenting. We have a ministry now that is designed to help parents co-parent, that you will be able to co-parent even though you're not together anymore. We're thinking about the children now. It's all about the children. Give us a call at 414-585-9511, 414-585-9511. Set up your appointment, and we will talk with you and your loved ones to make it better for your children in co-parenting. Co-parenting is very important because the child needs both parents. And are y'all ready for this? I am so excited, and it's coming soon. It is being proofread right now. Why it's important to stay in the middle from a kingdom perspective in Spanish. We are now doing it in the Latino community. It is being proofreading right now, and then it'll be going to the press. So it will be available soon in Spanish. Why it's important to stay in the middle from a kingdom perspective. And then February 23rd through the 25th, Introduction to the Kingdom Summit. If you want to know more about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, your role in the kingdom of God, if you feel that you knew that in your heart is more to God than what you've been getting, then we invite you to this summit. It is going to be live on Zoom. It's going to be people across the country that will be in this teaching, and we invite everybody to come out and be with us on Zoom. You have to call 414-585-9511, 414-585-95, 414-676, 676-0842. Or you can call 773. I'll type in the other number you can call if you're in the Illinois area. Apostle Graham will be taking information there. And then once you register, we will give you the code to the Zoom so you can be a part of introduction of the Kingdom Summit to learn more about the kingdom of God and your place in the kingdom of God. So we're looking forward to it. We're excited about it. So let me bring that out. Now, my guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, y'all continue to tag people tonight. That's right, tag them, tag them, tag them. But my guest tonight, you guys, to the city of Milwaukee, he's not a stranger. We grew up together, played ball at the boys' club together. Then he spent most of his life, if not all of his life, protecting and serving the city of Milwaukee. And now he's running for alderman in the 5th district. Y'all welcome a good friend. I'm honored to be able to call him a friend, a good friend of mine, former assistant chief of the Milwaukee Police Department, my friend, Ray Banks. Blessings, my brother.
Same to you, my brother. How are you?
I am wonderful. Welcome to Kingdom Citizen of Wisconsin. And again, let me just say welcome to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Rumble. And so we're excited tonight. I have a good friend of mine, and he is an amazing man. Anytime you risk your life to save others, to protect others, you got to be amazing. And it is my brother, my friend, former Assistant Chief Ray Banks. And right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to him, let him introduce himself to you guys, and let y'all hear his story. And then he'll talk to you guys about why he's running for the alderman in the 5th district.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it. I've been a 50-year resident of the city of Milwaukee. My family moved here in 1973. We moved here from Memphis, Tennessee. I was in Memphis when Dr. King was killed. I like to talk about this because it's very near and dear to me. When Dr. King was killed on April 4th, 1968, I was only 5 years old, but I still remember that day like it was yesterday. I remember all the fires. I remember the cars being turned over. I remember the police chasing people. I remember the police hitting people with nightsticks. I remember seeing people bleeding. And throughout all of that, I had conversations with my grandfather, who was always telling me that that's not the way people are supposed to behave, and that's not the way the police are supposed to behave. And as he was telling me this, he always reminded me that not everyone is bad, including people and police officers, that there are good people on both sides of the fence. That day, I did not know it at the time, but it changed my life forever. I always wanted to make sure that I represented the people that made those sacrifices before me, because I seen it firsthand. So when we moved to Milwaukee, I always remembered April 4th, 1968, and I always remembered the conversations that I had with my grandfather about the police and about people in general. And he's always was pushing to get out there in the community and do the right thing. As long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a person that got out in the community and did the right thing. The Boys and Girls Club also helped shape my future and my career, because I was always involved in something active there. And as life went on, I never, ever forgot what I saw in Memphis and the passion that my grandfather always wanted to make sure I got the right message, which led me to always want to be a police officer. I joined the Wisconsin State Patrol as a Wisconsin State Trooper. I stayed there for 2 years. Shortly after that, my passion was still wanting to come and work in the city that I grew up in, which was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I joined the Milwaukee Police Department. And all I ever wanted to do was a Milwaukee police officer. Throughout my tenure with the Milwaukee Police Department, which lasted 28 and a half years, I retired as the Assistant Chief of Police in January of 2020. While sitting at home, doing nothing really, I noticed that the alderman of the 5th District, which was Nakia Dodd, announced that she was going to be retiring at the end of November. And I thought that this was a great opportunity for me to get back involved in doing things that I like to do in the community. And I got to tell you, what led me to retire was that I've always had I guess, a soft spot for the youth in our community because someone always had one for me, mainly at the Boys and Girls Club. Sam Williams, a lot of people know Sam, and Sam's done a lot for me. Sam Williams is a legend within the inner city and with all of the Boys and Girls Club. I'll never be able to repay him for everything that he did me. But Sam Williams was a person that led me through a lot of guidance. Now, I had a 2-parent household, and I certainly had mentorship and guidance from my parents, but Sam brought a lot of things home. So I had a passion for youth. And so I volunteered for the PAL program with the Milwaukee Police Department, and I always wanted to give back to help guide our young people in the right direction. So I had a soft spot for young people throughout my entire career. As I got toward the end of my career, there were 2 situations that happened that led me to want to retire. The first one was the shooting of Brooklyn Harris, who was killed, I believe, in 2018. And she was a 3-year-old sitting in the backseat of a car, and somehow during a road incident, an adult, 39 years old, shot into the car and shot her in the head and killed her. Upon seeing that and seeing the end result of that, I just said I needed a mental health break. But shortly after that, we had an officer killed, and then another one killed, and then another one killed. And I couldn't leave because I felt like I would be abandoning my law enforcement family. Bring us to 2019. The 2 little girls that were run over by an 18-year-old reckless driver who had no criminal history and killed was it for me. I knew after that I definitely needed a mental health break. I couldn't even get through a press conference without crying. So I knew it was time for me to go and maybe look at doing something different. I didn't know what that was going to be. So I retired. And then the announcement came with the vacancy of the 5th District automatic seat, and I thought that this was a good move for me. As I look at the things that are occurring in the city of Milwaukee, I look at 3 things. I look at the reckless driving, which is a problem that permeates throughout just about every community in this city, the violent crime, and the city services, the quality of the city services that we're receiving. And those are the 3 things that I'm really focused on. And that really kind of encompasses everything. But when we look at the reckless driving situation, and reckless driving is part of the reason that I retired from the police department. We really got to get tough on these drivers, and we got to look at a way to abate and stop this from occurring. It's not going to happen overnight, but we really got to take some aggressive measures to try and stop this. And I have some ideas that I'd like to try and work with the police department and the district attorney's office. Because of my background and experience, I have ideas that I know that could work. And again, it won't fix things overnight. We've had a steady increase of homicides over the last 3 years. So imagine, if you will, that we've had 600 homicides over the last, from 2020, 21, and 22, a total of 600 or so homicides. The clearance rates of those homicides is less than 50%. If you do the math on that, that means that there's at least 300 people or so that are walking among us that have committed homicides and have not been arrested and or punished for it. There's no one to blame for this. I'm not blaming the police department or any other organization. I just think that this is part of the problems that we're seeing here in the city of Milwaukee, and it's going to take all of us in the community to work together to try and resolve these issues. And then the third thing is we talk about city services. There's a staffing issues with a lot of the city departments that provide us with the very basic city services. However, because the staffing shortages are happening, that doesn't mean that that should be impacting the quality of the services that we're receiving. So if they come to pick up your trash and they don't make it on a weekly basis and they come every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, we patiently wait for that. But when they come, we shouldn't be expected to pick up garbage that they've left behind when they come to pick it up. Or when the snow plows are out there and when they come and they plow only one half of the street. Or I don't know where this idea came up, but when people want to go and dump oversized garbage at the city dump, and now there's a fee associated with that. There's a domino effect with that. Rather than people going and paying to throw something away, they're just dumping them on city streets, city corners, vacant lots, and everything else. And that's creating not only just a hazard in our everyday lives and impacting our quality of life, but it also is creating more of a financial issue for the city. Those type of services, we really need to look to try and abate them so that we get the type of quality services that we as tax-paying citizens deserve. So as I look through all of those things, those are the things that I really would like to try and get in front of to see what I can do to try and abate those issues and make all of our quality of lives much better than what it is today.
All right. So glad you was able to share. One of the things that as I listen to you talk about the quality of the service, and I have to be honest, nobody nobody really are addressing the service that we're getting. They're not addressing um, community blocks with no lights, but the light bill for the street lights is on a water bill, and so I'm paying for lights, but my block don't have lights. And it's not that it didn't have lights for one day; it don't have lights for a couple of days, and so so
Bluetooth disconnected.
that right there is a problem. So let me ask you a question. With your experience with the law enforcement, um, you, I wonder is that mine or yours?
That's the ring. That's my ring.
Oh, that's your ring. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought it was mine. Um, with all your experience, we grew up in an area like you said. He was there, right? Sam was just bam, and Sam he wouldn't let up on us. He direct us if he saw us doing something silly. He was like a second pop, right? He was there. We had avenues we could go places. The Boys and Girls Club, St. Elizabeth, Brother Bob Smith was a great impact in my life, and he's one of the reasons why I give back because Brother Bob gave me something that gave me a choice. He gave me a key to St. Elizabeth, and so I was able to go in and play ball instead of go do something stupid. So, what do you see missing, like in the fifth district for young people? Like we had that. We had avenues where we can go somewhere and get involved. So is there anywhere like that in the fifth district right now, or is there something that you would like to see in the fifth district?
Well, right now, David, there's a much bigger problem than the issues that we have. You see the social economical challenges that are being had in not just the fifth district, but throughout the city of Milwaukee. I saw some data recently, and I believe it was from 2022, that Milwaukee was number two as it relates to the highest poverty rate of the
Mm-hmm.
50 highest major cities in the United States. If you look at that poverty rate being that high, that also increases all of the social economical challenges that are faced with not only our youth people, but our young adults as well. putting a building or a boys and girls club in the middle of this does not solve all of the problems. It gives you a temporary fix because it gives you a place to be, a safe place to be, and something productive to do. But what happens is that once that place is gone, all of these young folks are then put right back out to the toxic environments that they're coming from.
Okay.
And when you put in those toxic environments, you learn to survive in whatever way that you're surviving in those areas. That becomes an issue and that becomes a problem for us all. So this problem is much bigger than the issues that we had that took us away from it. You know, the breakdown of the families, I think, is huge. You know, the lack of support from the families. I don't think a one-parent household equals failure. We've seen some strong mothers and some strong fathers out there that have raised some great kids. I just think that the overall social economical challenges that people are having. And then you look at the situation in Milwaukee. We're operating in silos. So there's all sorts of social programs that are out there, but we're not sharing. So there are things that are being done that are being duplicated that no one knows about. So for instance, if you come across a kid that's homeless, you got to make 10, 12, 13 phone calls to find someone that might be able to help you. We should be able to dial one number. And that person, whoever answers that one number at one central location, can say, hey, these are the organizations that you can call that can assist you. When you look at all of the social services programs that are out there, they don't share that information. So we don't know all of the programs that are there and available. There's a lot of good things happening in the city. We just got to get to the point that we open it up so that everybody is aware of the things that are happening so that we can try and help each other. People got money and grants all over the place, but we don't know about it. So in order to try and help our youth, our young people, and even our families that are struggling, we need to share this information so that people have an opportunity. The other issue, David, that I think that happens is that you serving organizations that do a great job, they do a great job for 8 hours. So if you bring in a youth and you give them all of the different type of mentorship and trainings and teachings to help them survive and be productive in the community, but then at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, they have to go home and then try and institute that in their lives for the evening. That's not practical. We need something 24/7 that when youth are in trouble or young adults are in trouble, that they have that avenue that they can go to. We just don't have it there. I'm not saying that this is a silver bullet to fix that problem. I think it's part of the solution, and I think it's a good start.
Yes. And you know, you're absolutely right, because my organization, Wisconsin God Squad, we've been rolling for years. And, you know, one of the biggest problems that I have seen is these organizations that are getting the funding, the grants, they're intimidated by one another, so they can't come together. They don't want to allow you to have that system where you can pick up one phone and say, okay, this organization, this organization, this organization. Because you got to remember, all three of those organizations are going to be fighting for the same money. So they're not going to come together and work together because of the fact that they are battling for the same money. And one of the biggest problems that I seen was God Squad wasn't chasing grants or anything like that. We had private donors that allowed me to do the work that I've done. And I was trying to partner with people that I wasn't even trying to compete with grants and anything, and said, let's work together. You can use the numbers that I got as your numbers so you can get the grant. Because I don't do the grants because it comes with strings attached. So I was like, you can do it. They didn't want to do it because, and then I look at it and be like, okay, why don't we want to come together? You know, because we all we do is strengthen one another when we come together. But a lady made a comment. I want to put this comment up for you real quick.
Okay.
And you know, this is why we're getting, this is one of the reasons why people are dumping behind churches and dumping in empty lots. because they don't want to pay that money. So how would you, since she put that up there, how would you relook to figure out if that fee can go away?
Well, we need to change it, and that's going to be a hard conversation because right now the city is having such a big budget shortfall. And you're talking about taking away possible revenue that's coming into the city. I'd like to really look at the number and compare the revenue that's coming in versus the money that's being spent to go and clean up these areas that people are dumping the trash in, because ultimately you still got to end up coming out and getting it versus if we would have just taken it in for free. And maybe, we can have some satellite sites where people don't have to go to the dump, that we got areas set up where they can go and dump them there, and the city can pick them up from that spot versus these massive cleanups and these multiple areas and corners and vacant lots that people are actually dumping stuff in. I mean, it's really ridiculous. You can drive through the city just about anywhere and you can find a couch, tires, furniture, all over the place that someone just took in a pickup truck, just dumped it there because they weren't going to go and pay that fee. The other thing is that a lot of people that are out there picking up trash are looking to be able to go to the scrapyard to sell it. And when there's something that they can't sell, typically they can take it to the dump and just dump it off. But now they're just dumping it anywhere. So that's just a very small part of the quality of services that I think that that's happening here in the city. And again, I am not pointing the fingers or blaming anybody. I just think that it was just a bad decision to start charging people for that service, because the domino effect that we could have seen or should have seen is happening.
Yeah, and here's the problem that I have seen when it comes to the service part. Yes, they short staff, right? But here's the thing. Certain parts of the South Side, they don't miss a beat. They don't miss a beat on picking up the trash. They don't miss a beat picking up the recycle. They don't miss a beat when it's time to move the snow off the streets. They don't miss a beat at all. But then you go to the North Side, they're missing, like you say, a week or 2 weeks or maybe even 3 weeks before they even pick up the garbage. So why is it that the North Side service is the one with the shortage and not the South Side?
So, David, I don't have any data on that, and I'm not doubting what you're saying, but I'm going to answer it based on the fact that I don't have the data on that. So based on what you're saying, that tells me that the quality of service that people are getting that are really bad, that it does not have to be that way if everyone is not getting the same type of service in the same type of speed that we deserve. So it tells me that this is a problem that can be fixed. It just requires someone to actually take an active role in mediating and abating this issue. I see frequently that people call, and they've made it easy to report potholes where you can send it to the city, take a picture and send it to the city and they'll come out and fix it. Folks don't mind waiting for that, typically. Okay, we'll be out within 10 days, 15 days, or whatever. But when you come, we expect you to come and it's not a pothole again a week later. Right. Don't come and just dump, the asphalt in there and it's not placed in there safely. And then a week later, it's a pothole again. Those are the type of things that I really think can be fixed easily by making sure that when you are there, you're getting the quality work that our tax dollars are paying for. Just like what you're saying that some areas are being neglected, that there has to be more of a fair system of the frequency in which you go to certain areas. Those are all issues that can be addressed and fixed. It just needs and requires someone to put a little effort and attention to it.
Yes, and I don't have data, but I have experience myself. I lived on the North Side. I live on the South Side. Okay, I see the difference. I see how a person can leave their car on the South Side in the area where I'm at on the wrong side of the street a day, maybe 2 days, and would never get a ticket. I see it on the north side. Not only do they get a ticket, but they get towed. So, you know, I see the garbage on the south side get picked up routine all the time. I see the snow removed all the time when I lived on the north side. So I'm a person who lived on both sides. So I see the different, it's a total different, it's, you know, I like to say it like this. The service we get on the north side is like going into McDonald's. You don't know what you're going to get. But the service on the south side is like going to Chick-fil-A. You already know you're going to be taken care of. You already know they're going to respect you. You already know. I called my alderman's office and I asked for a copy of the budget. Do you know I had it within 15 minutes? If I was on the north side, I wouldn't have got it. They wouldn't even tell me where to get it at. So this is what I'm talking about. And when you look at the budget, the money is there. That money that they put in the budget for service is not just for one side. But when we allow them to treat us any kind of way on one side, then that's a problem. And so we have to look at it to say, we need the same service on the north side that they're getting on the south side. It has to become equal. It should not be, it shouldn't be where one side is being treated better. I don't care how much finance you got or nothing. You're still a citizen. You're still a taxpayer. You understand what I'm saying? You're still a person that are contribute, giving, whether it's your water bill, your taxes for your house, you're still giving in. And if you're giving in, you should get the same service on both sides of town. And that's where I see it. Hold on, let me see what somebody's saying. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So, well, you said a lot of things, David, and I think the equity of services that people receive should be the same, yes, regardless of where you live. And if that is an issue that is happening as you described, I think it's a problem that can easily be resolved. You know, spreading that equity is not a challenge. The challenge is having the staffing. No, and based on the comment that someone made, that's what I was suggesting was that maybe we can have satellite sites where we can put dumpsters in the neighborhood where everyone feels it. The problem with that would eventually be that when you are placing rubbish in these dumpsters, they are usually separated by category. Mm-hmm. And so if you just have a dumpster that you can put everything in and people start throwing like chemicals like paint and acid and old batteries and things like that in there that you can't put in a landfill, it becomes problematic and someone has to go in and go through it versus going to a structured site that they'll direct you based on the load. Excuse me.
Bless you.
It makes things much easier for everybody.
Yes.
However, if we're going to have people dumping, excuse me,
Bless you.
We're going to have people dumping on the curbs and in the vacant lots anyway, we might as well try and figure out a constructive way of making that more convenient and less costly for the taxpayers. So
let's narrow it down now. Let's not talk citywide. No, let's talk about 5th District.
Okay.
And your vision for the 5th District. What do you see for the 5th District?
So as I talk to people in the 5th District, I want to make sure you understand the boundaries. We can start at the very corner tip of 124th and Good Hope, mm-hmm, and go south to 76th and Center. That encompasses pretty much the entire district. That's a huge area, just under 39,000 people. So if you can imagine that, all of the challenges that people have are going to be different. Yes. You take the subdivision that I live in, which is up on the far northwest side. Most of my neighbors, they have issues with the property taxes. But as you go further south from me, people are not complaining as much about property taxes as they are about the reckless driving and or the auto thefts, the car break-ins and the garage break-ins and that kind of thing. As you continue further south and you get to the southern tip, now the property taxes become an issue again, as well as the reckless driving. So you have to make sure that whatever fight that you're going to take on in the 5th District, it's going to be a fight that's relevant to the residents that are living in the 5th District. So as I've done as I've had my conversations with the constituents, those 3 things that I mentioned are the 3 things that I hear in just about every ward. And that is the reckless driving, the violent crime, and the level of city services that people are receiving. That covers just about everything that people are having issues with. We can talk about economical growth, new businesses, businesses that might need to be closed, businesses that are really appreciated in their community, and just bringing in new businesses. Those are things that definitely are conversations that need to be had, but on the top of the list are those 3 things that I mentioned.
Okay. And like you say, when you look at a district, everybody has a different need or a different concern or a different want. And so let's take a elderly that's in your district who's crying about property taxes because it's going up, but their income is not going up. What would you say to them?
Well, if there is a property tax rate that's in place, which I'm sure there is, there's not a whole lot that I, as the alderman, can do to change that. As an alderman that lives in the 5th District, I want lower property taxes just like everybody else. The thing that I would try and push an elderly constituents to is some of the social services programs that are out there and designed specifically for the elderly to see what type of assistance could be provided for them.
Okay. All right. So when you look at the reckless driving, let's say, I know one area of your district, there's been a lot of traffic, and that's Hampton, like on 100 from like 105th in Hampton, that down by 99.
Mm-hmm. By Timmerman Field.
Yes. Yes. You know, that's an area that a lot of people that I know that lives over there, that's one of the areas they worried about is safety in that area.
Okay. So let's take what you're saying. So you can use Hampton. That's part of the 5th District. Capitol Drive is part of the 5th District. 76th Street is part of the 5th District. Fond du Lac, parts of Fond du Lac is in the 5th District. So some of the most high profile and busiest streets are part of the 5th District. When we hear these stats about reckless driving and the citations that are issued for reckless driving, and again, my intention is not to point the finger at anybody. So I'm not blaming anybody for this. However, I just think that folks should know that a reckless driving citation is about as useless as the paper is written on for the most aggressive people. People such as yourself or myself, if we get a citation, we're going to pay it. But folks are not paying these tickets because they know there's nothing that can happen to them.
Exactly.
The only thing that could occur is you lose your driver's license and you can't register your car. They're going to keep driving anyway, and they're going to keep driving that same car. And it's not going to change a thing until we look at trying to make sure that the action is met with the proper punishment, with adequate deterrence from doing it again. That means that the type of prosecution needs to change. If we have a prosecution that results in a citation, which is in and itself is not a crime, it's a civil forfeiture, we need to look at elevating these actions to a crime. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing this. Now, we can always look at as a misdemeanor endangering safety by use of a dangerous weapon, meaning that you're endangering people by your driving, and the dangerous weapon is your vehicle. That means the district attorney's office is involved. That means you can tow the vehicle as evidence. But everybody has to work on the same page to get that done. Towing of the car, passing ordinances that don't allow you to get the car back for 30 days and things of that nature. So we just need to take a more aggressive approach at this. I'm not advocating for locking up everybody and throwing away the key, but I am advocating that the actions and the punishment are in line with each other. I'm also saying that there needs to be an adequate deterrence. There needs to be an educational piece to this. And I definitely want to say that I think the youth get a bad rap with reckless driving because people think it's all young people, and it's not.
Right.
We have a lot of middle-aged people that are involved in these type of actions that you kind of just want to thump in the head to ask them, what were you thinking? This is the stuff we expect high school seniors and freshmen in college. This is not what we expect people that are your age to be engaging in. The accident that occurred on 60th and Melvina a few days back where the young man that was killed in the car, and I believe he was 23 years old, that He was racing up 60th.
Yep.
The person that they arrested that he was racing against was 44. So I'm just simply saying that this is a problem that crosses all boundaries and all age groups. And the adjustment of it means that we need to try and get more aggressive at identifying the aggressive drivers and the most reckless drivers that are out there. Giving a guy a ticket for speeding that's running 10 minutes for late for work doesn't resolve our issue. Ideally, we'd like to stop people doing 20, 25 miles an hour over the speed limit. By the way, 25 miles an hour over by state statute is included as reckless driving. We got people doing 50 over, 60 over. We got folks driving on the sidewalk, driving on the grass, driving the wrong way on the wrong side of the street. Those are the folks that we've got to put our attention to, and those are the folks that we got to give the adequate punishment to. I don't care about the guy that speeds, that is running a little late for work. In a perfect world, in a perfect society, we would stop everybody and want to get a hold of everybody that is violating the speed limit. However, desperate times calls for desperate measures, and we have to go after these aggressive people.
Yes. So let's shift for a minute because I just found out something that's a little disturbing. Walmart is leaving on 103rd and Silver Spring as of March the 10th. And I'm like, what is those people going to do in that area when it comes to getting groceries or were you aware that they're leaving? Did you hear about it?
I found out yesterday.
Yeah. So they're leaving. As alderman, would you try to get another grocery store or something to come in the district for those people over there?
Yes, I would definitely want to try and have. I would actually like to try and talk them Walmart out of leaving. Part of the problem, though, David, means that you got to bring the community together in these type of decisions, because I've been in that Walmart numerous times. And I can tell you that the customer service in that store was absolutely horrible. When those businesses come into town, they want to hire people from the community, which is what they do. But when our folks from the community come in there, they got to recognize that the customer service that they're providing should be reflective of the type of services that they want to receive. And when you're not receiving that, you find people that drive past that Walmart to get to another Walmart because they don't want to deal with the poor customer service, on top of the high rate of retail theft that occurs there.
Yes.
It will require us to have a conversation, a hard conversation with the community that actually frequents that Walmart, so that we can try and decrease the number of incidents that are occurring there, and also make sure that people from the community that are working in the store understand the importance of customer service. But with all those things being said, I still say that I would not be in favor of them closing. I would be in favor of trying to work with them in the community to improve on the level of services that are being provided out of the store.
Oh yeah, and I'm with you on that. I think some more training would have to be done so they'll know how to conduct themselves. Because I ran the IHOP that was on Browndale Road, and two gentlemen that was there, they was eating, and when they got through eating, they came to the counter and they asked for the manager, and I come to the counter thinking something was wrong. And they said to me, we've been in all these restaurants throughout this side of the town, from the Denny's all the way to Good Hope restaurants everywhere. And they said, we never saw a restaurant that was ran so professionally by a African American. And when they said that, to me, it was supposed to be an honor, right? But no, that's sad to say that our community, when we running something, it got to look bad. You see what I'm saying? So that means the standard has to go to another level. So if I'm going to hire you from the neighborhood, I expect you not to carry yourself like you're still in the hood. I need you to be professional. I need you, because now they got to look at where I'm going to go work it. Because then everybody cannot afford to go all the way to a new Walmart that might be on 108th in Greenfield, or Germantown, or even West Bend, or somewhere like that. So what they're going to do about their jobs? And I think a lot of people is not paying that no attention. So let me put this up for you. There you go.
Yeah, I think that the question from Ms. King is good. I don't know what Walmart is willing to do and what they're not willing to do. The one thing that I will tell you is that you can provide all of the training that you want in customer services, but people have to accept the training and the knowledge that comes along with it. And just like with any other organization, you find people that go against the training and the policies of the organizations that they're working for, and they do all of these outlandish things because there's no accountability. Part of a lack of accountability involves adequate supervision. That is the key. The supervisors that you're hiring, they have to be on top of their employees. And that means being out there, seeing what the employees are doing. There should never be a reason that you walk into a Walmart and the greeter's on their cell phone. Or you're trying to get some direction as to where to find an item, and that person is having a conversation on the cell phone. Or you got two employees that are having a conversation that you clearly see as a personal conversation, that you got to wait 3 or 4 minutes for them to finish before you can ask the question. And then when you do ask the question, they give you a response in an attitude which is totally against the training that they would have received, or even the employee manual that you get. So all of these things are human elements and human problems, and can be resolved just by getting a strong supervisor that's out in the field with their employees to over. I can go as far as even say that situation in Memphis, had they had adequate supervision out there on the roadway, they should have prevented that from happening. You got to be out there knowing what your people are doing, and you got to be out there to save them from themselves. And I don't care what kind of organization that is. You can't just push people out and then not have someone watching and supervising the actions, in particular our youth, because of the fact that they're still maturing. We got to make sure that we have the proper oversight.
Yes. Let's see what this. Now you can touch it. If you don't want to touch it, you can just.
I know that there have been people that are against having a Walmart in their community because of the fear of what it brings to the community. However, when you take a look at that particular location, there's nothing else around it. Nothing. There's no benefit to the folks that have to go there. Pick and Save left, and everyone thought the Pick and Save that was in that lot, what are we going to do now? Walmart comes along, and it's a complete blessing that Walmart is there, that they can still do grocery shopping, among other things. Once that Walmart leaves, there's a drugstore maybe about a mile south of there, but there's nothing else for people that are in that community or folks that ride the bus, because it's right along a major bus line where they can go and do the things that they need to do. We're punishing the people that use that building, that location, for the actions of a few. 10% of the people are responsible for 90% of the problems. So
Yes.
if you take and we look at that analogy, the punishment that is happening right now with the folks that live in that area, it doesn't line up.
Yeah, and let's just take a look at the Walmart that closed in Midtown. There's nothing in that building right now, and so like you say, there's nothing in that area where they can go shopping anywhere. So what about the elderly that use that place? What about those that are disabled that used to ride their little carts up there to get groceries? I mean, I think what people don't do is they don't look at the bigger picture of what happens if Walmart leave, or what happened if Walgreens leave, what happened if. Now the people that need their medicine, where they going to go?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't look at all of that. We just look at, oh, it's gone, and now we can put something else. But what are you going to put there that's going to benefit the community itself? Because most stores, when they're in a community, they're catered for that community. So so what can they put there that's going to be able to cater to that community?
Right. And and the other thing, those of us that have adequate transportation to get from point A to point B, we got to think in terms of the people that don't have that ability. And
Yes.
you can go to that Walmart on any given day, and you'll see people pushing those little personal carts filled with groceries walking back to their homes and their neighborhoods. And you can see the bus stops are always got people waiting for the bus and getting off the bus. Those are the underprivileged people that are going to be really, truly impacted by that. And I don't think that any of us could be so selfish that we don't think of the very issue related to people that just don't have it like you have it.
Yeah, that is so true. So, I know we got about 7 more minutes on here. Why don't you take a few minutes and just tell the people, because how many people is in your race?
There's 7 of us.
Okay. So why don't you take a couple of minutes to tell the people why they should vote for you. And then when he is done, again, you guys stay tuned, because the show is not over. We have another guest coming on in a little while, and they are running for Supreme Court. And I will not tell you guys who they are. It is a surprise. So you guys stay tuned. So I want you to take, out of the 7, take time to share with people why they should vote for you.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a nonpartisan race. Thank goodness. What I've seen in this country, where it's not a we, it's an us against them, and I've never bought into partisan politics. So keeping with that thing, I'm not going to say anything bad about anyone that has a desire to want to work to give back to the community. So we have a good group of people that are running in this race. I have nothing negative to say about them. And in fact, I won't even say that I'm the best candidate. What I will say is this, because when you get into trying to make yourself the best at anything, you never can live up to those type of expectations. I can tell you that I'm the most experienced and I'm the most qualified out of those groups based on the last 28 and a half years of me being with the Milwaukee Police Department, and the last 4 or 5 years working on an executive level, to include working within city, state, and federal government. I have a clear understanding of how that works. I have standing relationships, not only with the Common Council, the mayor's office, the DA's office, the police department, and just about every leader in this city. I have a master's degree in organizational leadership and administration, and I have an undergrad degree, bachelor's degree in criminal justice. When I put all of those things together, and based on my community involvement for the last 28 years, most of my jobs within the Milwaukee Police Department involve some type of community-related function. I worked with the youth for my entire career, volunteering to do various things within that arena, working with the community-based organizations, working with block watches. I have a plethora of experience, community-related, as well as my law enforcement background and the relationships that I have. I have the ability to hit the ground running. The learning curve for me in the alderman race is the shortest out of all of the candidates there based on my past experience. So I would love to tell people to support me in this race because of the things that I'm saying. But like I said, there are quality people running, and I think you need to take and make the assessment yourself. But the one thing that you cannot lose sight of is my experience and my background exceeds that of the folks that are running against me. So.
Wow. Well, you guys, there you have it. Okay. Say your, even though it's written on the thing, tell the people your name so they'll know who to look for on the ballot.
Okay. My name is Ray Banks, Banks. February 21st is when the primary election is, and it'll whittle us down from 7 to 2 people. And then on April 4th, they'll have the general election. And it's extremely ironic that the general election is on April 4th, because I started out telling you that my life changed on April 4th, 1968. And here we are again with another life-changing opportunity that can happen. You know, that date just continues to resonate with me.
All right. And you guys, where can they reach you? Is there a number, website that they can reach you at?
Yes. The website is Ray Banks for Alderman. Ray Banks, the number 4, alderman.com.
Amen. And you guys, I tell y'all all the time, it's not about party, it's about person. You got to know the individual. And the question is, can I trust this person to be a true representation of me in that office? So, you know, guys, I bring everybody on. I ask everybody to come on and share their vision. They don't know what we're going to talk about. I just tell them, come on, share your vision. Whatever the audience put on or what I think come in my head, you know, they don't have time to prepare. And I saw my brother this morning and say, you need to be on the show tonight. He said, let's do it. And he's here. So just like my next guest who's running for Supreme Court, I said, hey, I would love for you to be on, and they're coming on. So it's never a front. We don't front. We don't plan it. Most of y'all know me. I don't plan nothing. I just say what's on my mind and my heart. So, but we are grateful to have him on. Any final words you would like to say, sir?
Yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to come on and just kind of have this conversation, because these are conversations that need to be had, not just because I'm running for alderman, but they're conversations that impact us all.
Yes, and so you know, for those that are interested in community, we will be, hold on one second. Where's the folder? Oh, wait, I can do it this way. Hold on one second, because I want to give you guys the correct address. We're having what's called the Retour, and we're talking about restoring our families, rebuilding our communities, reconnecting with our neighbors, recommitting to changing our city, and reestablishing trust in our city. And we're going to be at the East Branch Library this Monday, February 13th. The address is 2320 North Cambridge Street in Milwaukee, 2320 North Cambridge Street in Milwaukee, from 5:30 to 7. We encourage you guys, if you really want to see a change in the community. My wife is trying to tell me I must be saying it wrong. What is it, babe? What is it? Cambridge. I'm sorry. Thank you, babe. Cambridge. My wife, all right there. You know, my sidekick. She's always there, got my back. But we want the community to come out because we're having these kind of conversations. What it takes to restore family, because we have to restore the family. And just like Brother Ray said, you know, just because both parents ain't in the house don't mean that one parent that's in the house can't do the job or not doing the job. My mom raised 6 boys and 1 girl by herself. So, and I didn't turn out bad. So I know she knew what she was doing. King, your wife is awesome. Thank you, Rustin. But the thing about it is that it takes a whole community. We got to go back to that community mindset that we look out for everybody. You know, we got to stop being selfish and say, well, it ain't happening in my house. It's coming to your house next. If we don't fix this cancer that's in our city, it's going to spread to every community. I don't care what side of the city you're on. I don't care if you're in the outskirts. If you're still in Milwaukee County, it's coming your way. If you're still in the state, it's coming your way. Until we heal it, it's going to continue to spread. So we need people that is committed to this work. You know, I mean, you got to look at it. This man been a police officer how many years?
30.
30 years. So for 30 years, he risked his life so you can have a better Milwaukee. So, you know, we need people who have put their life on the line. I remember this morning when we was at the breakfast, Matt Whittle said, I remember, King, when you was out there at midnight 30 years ago, you out there on the streets at midnight, helping your community, dealing with drug addicts and everything. So we're talking about people who have invested in our city and don't want it to continue to go down the road that is going down. So this is why Kingdom Citizen of Wisconsin, we invite everybody to come on. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. You want to come on and have these conversations, we are more than welcome to come on. I have no prospective person because God doesn't have a prospective person. I just say, be ready for me when you come on the show. That's all I ask. But, you know, we thank Brother Ray Banks, candidate for the 5th District, coming on, and we're going to have him on again. And anybody else that's running for the 5th District that want to sit in the hot seat, you know, I'm scared of Brother Banks, so I let him slide tonight. No, I'm just joking, you guys. but if you want to come on, we more than welcome. Open the door for anybody that would like to be a part of what we're doing, because it's all about us. It's not about an individual. It's about us. That's why my motto is meet me in the middle and have a mind to work, because we have one purpose. We have one mind, one purpose, one goal, and that's to make Milwaukee a safe and prosperous home for all of us. So this is how we can do it, by coming together. So again, I want to thank Ray Banks, you guys, candidate for the 5th District. Primary is February 21. February 21st is the primary. We got to get out and vote. We cannot allow a low turnout in the primary in the spring election ever again. We need to get people out. So I'm encouraging you guys to get out and vote on there. Any final words before I let you go, sir?
No, that's it, David. Thank you for having me on.
Amen. Thank you for being on, sir. And again, y'all, that is Ray Banks, candidate for the 5th Automatic District. I often say congressional. I'm sending you to Congress, sir. So you guys check him out and look him up. Thank you for being on, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So you guys, I'm excited for having him on. And you guys got to understand one thing. no one party is going to fix anything. It's going to take all of us to fix it. It takes each and every one of us to have our mind to work. It's going to take each and every one of us to come up and stand up and get involved in your local races as well as your state races as well as your federal races. But the foundation is always your local race. So we have to make sure we are engaged in local races. You guys, we got a candidates coming on who is part of the Supreme Court race. And you guys, one of the things that I want you guys to know about the Supreme Court race is a very, very important race. And it is a race that will either protect or change your life. Because what do I mean by that? Because if they start ruling from the Supreme Court race, not according to the Constitution, but according to how they feel, then we are all in trouble. And we need people that is going to be, how should I say this? Going by the book. And the book is the Constitution. And if you don't know your Constitution, whether you don't know the United States Constitution or your Wisconsin Constitution, then you need to start studying it, looking it up. And we'll even help you out because every Saturday we are teaching the Constitution. I have Abigail and Mercy with me. That's Amber and Sarah. So we will be teaching the Constitution again. We are now on the Wisconsin. I don't know what that means, Russ, but you guys, so I don't know what you mean by that, Russ. So I gotta watch you. But you guys, listen, we got races, we got empty automatic seats in the city of Milwaukee right now. And what they're doing right now, they're making rules, they're making laws, they're making decisions for districts that have no representation. So if you live in one of those districts that there is not an alderman, and that is District 1, District 5, and District 9. And so we have to make sure that we are paying attention so that way we can start to do things that is going to empower one another, that is going to help one another. And so we got to make sure we're starting to put the right people in office. And let me show you how scary that is while I'm waiting on my next guest to show up, which they'll be on soon. We elect people in office. And then during their inauguration, during their swearing in, they say they are sworn to protect the Constitution. But you know what? A lot of them haven't read the Constitution. A lot of them don't even know the Constitution. Anytime an elected official tells you separation between church and state is a person who never read the Constitution. So I think that, you know, we need to make sure we're hiring them for a job. They at least know the Constitution, because you got people that making laws that goes against the same thing they swore to protect. You know, so we got to make sure that we do a better job of knowing our candidates. We got to do a better job of electing our candidates, because you know what, to be honest with you guys, we're not in high school. This is not voting in a homecoming queen or a class president, but this is voting for people that is going to be governing our lives, that is going to make laws our lives. Now, the Constitution and the law are supposed to protect us, but that ain't what's been happening lately. So we got to make sure that we put people in office that is really, really got your best interests at heart. And so, you know, we got school board races in the city of Milwaukee that is coming up. We got 3 automatic district races in 3 different areas of the city of Milwaukee. Then we have the Supreme Court race that is coming up. And so each one of these races in this spring election is very important. So we have to make sure we are well educated. We know the people that is running in this race. For example, they just signed in that they're going to build a detention center in the city of Milwaukee that's going to house 32 children. But my last count, there was 80 children, I believe, up in Lincoln Hill. There's about 80 children up there. 80 of our children are up in Lincoln Hill, where they're being paid $400,000 a year to house these children. $400,000. And if there's 80 children, that's $32 million. $32 million. And the city decide that they're going to build a facility for 32. But what they said was, we want to bring the children home. Well, if you want to bring them home, then why are you not building a facility that will hold all 80? Why are you only doing a facility that only housing 32? So you're leaving 42 of our children out there. So why? Is it a money deal? They only give you so many of them and they're going to keep the rest? I mean, what kind of deal was made? And these are the things that should be transparent to us, that we can know the whole deal. Why? We got to start asking the why. Why 32 and not 80? Why put it in a district that doesn't have a alder person to speak out for that district? Why did y'all move so fast? Why they couldn't wait until this election was over before they made that decision? Why did they vote? And you notice that those that voted did not vote for it to go into their district. They voted that it'll go into a district that has no representation. So we have to make sure that everything we start questioning. We should be questioning every decision. School board, MPS school board failed our children. None of them should be reelected. None of them should be reelected because they failed our children. They failed them. 10% can read at their grade level. 14% can do math at their grade level. So 10% can read. So out of 72,000 kids, 7,200 kids can read at their grade level. So that is sad. And only 10,080 children can do math at their grade level. So we got a lot of problems in the city of Milwaukee, and we got to ask ourselves, are you tired yet? Are you ready to change? Are you ready to do what it takes to make Milwaukee a better place? Are we just going to keep going the same direction, thinking we're going to get something different? You put those same school board members back in office, you're not getting nothing different. Einstein said, if you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, that's insanity. So putting the same people back in office and you think you're going to get something different? No. In 24, every alderman is up for election, and the city have not gotten better yet. And if you put those same aldermen back in office, it ain't gonna get better. You cannot get better with the same system that caused the problem. It ain't gonna happen. So we have to make sure that we are on our guard. We got to make sure that we ready for this spring election, because you got school board race, you got 3 alderman race, you got a Supreme Court race. So we got to make sure, and you got a judge race for municipal court. There's a race going on also for municipal court judge. And you got to make sure you're putting judges in that got integrity. You got to stop putting these judges in that don't have integrity. You got to stop putting people in office who has a history of acting up. You don't need to put them in and give them more power, because that would be insane. That would be insane. So we have to do some things that is going to change the way life is for everybody. But if we don't do that, then what's going to happen is that we're going to not get better, we're going to get worse. Like Ray Banks said, in the last 3 years, over 600 people was murdered in the last 3 years. 600. And we still can't figure it out. We still can't figure it out. We still don't realize that the person that we elected have not done anything to support us, but support themselves, but not us. When I say us, I'm talking about we, the community, we, the city, we, the people. And so why do we keep putting them back in office? You got an opportunity right now to put 4 new people on the school board. Hey, sir, glad you're on. In a few minutes, I have a second guest coming on. My first guest was former Assistant Chief Ray Banks, who's running for alderman in the 5th District. And tonight, I have a Supreme Court judge candidate that's going to be on. I'm not going to say who that person is. I'm going to surprise you guys when I bring them on. I'm just waiting on them to lock in to the backstage, and then I would bring them on. But we have to do better, you guys. We have to do better in electing folks that is going to do what needs to be done to make Milwaukee a better place, make Wisconsin a better place, make this country a better place, because right now it's not. It is not. And I found out that in Florida, there's a new party rising up in Florida, and it's called the No Label Party. Have anybody heard about that? The No Label Party. They are in Florida right now. They are having people sign petitions. So it's kind of interesting that they're called the No Label Party. And the No Label Party is trying to draw people that used to be Democrats and Republicans. And in a way, it could be good, but then in a way, it could be a trap. And what do I mean by that? If the No Label Party, here's the thing. If the No Label Party, if they're legit and they really trying to bring everybody together as we the people, I would love it. But if they're there to be a smokescreen to the fact where they put somebody in a race that will shrink the other side's votes, you know, what do I mean by that? You put some, you're right, Destiny. You're absolutely right. So what I'm saying is they put up a conservative candidate, say we're going to support this conservative candidate. You Spider T, you right, you're absolutely right. And so I called, let me tell y'all, I watched their I went on their website and everything. And then what I did was I gave her my phone number, and the lady called me, and I was talking to her, and I was sharing with her, I was asking a lot of questions because I wanted to know, who is this No Label Party? Who's supporting it? Who's doing it? And I'm telling you guys, they're very cunning, they're very good, they're very tricky. And let me explain what I mean by that. Hey, love, can you bring me a charger, please? Let me tell you what they do. On one of their videos, they talked about LBJ. They talked about LBJ signing signing the Civil Rights Act. But what they finally said that nobody said in a long, long time, what they finally said was, okay, thank you. And what they finally said was, LBJ couldn't sign the Civil Rights Act without Republicans. So they said they finally said it, that the Republicans passed the Civil Rights Act that LBJ signed. So now they're trying to say, we're working together, we're doing this thing together. They say, well, it was the Republicans who passed the bill, and the Democrats signed the bill for the Civil Rights Act. And, we all together, we all want the same thing, and so we're no label. But then, you gotta wonder, why didn't they say that before? Why haven't they said that in the past? Why haven't they said that a longer time ago? But guess who they had to say it? They had a black man to say it. They had a black man to stand up and say, oh, it was the Republicans who passed the bill that LBJ signed. So we need everybody to come together. Look them up. It's called No Label Party. And they're in Florida. I got an email that somebody was complaining to the governor about this organization. They've been in front of Walmart getting signatures. I believe they're going to try to run somebody on the ballot in 2024 for the presidential race. I think they're going to try to hit every state. So they might be coming to Wisconsin soon to deal with the to get on the ballot for the presidential race as well. And so it's called No Label Party. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, we got to be careful about a lot of things, because we got people who have their own agenda that is dividing us instead of bringing us together. And so we have to be careful, because one minute y'all friends, the next minute you think different. Now y'all not friends. You're not talking to one another. And so we have to make sure that whatever we do, that we do it in the spirit of excellence, and we do it in the spirit of love, that we love on one another. I cannot agree with you on some things, but I still can love you. I don't have to hate you. I don't have to block you. I don't have to delete you. I don't have to cancel culture you because we don't agree. I can still love you and respect your belief, just like I asked you to respect mine. And so we was talking the other day, and I want y'all thought on this. We was talking the other day, and everybody was talking about who's a rhino, who really is a rhino. And so the person I was talking to is part of the Republican Party, and he was like, well, so I believe they said so-and-so was a rhino, and I believe they said so-and-so is a rhino, and we had this rhino in the race and that rhino in the race. I said, to be honest with you, there was only one real rhino in the race, in the lieutenant governor race. But they was calling a couple of people rhinos. I said, there was only one rhino in the lieutenant governor race for the Republican Party. And he said, really? He said, who's that rhino? I said, rhino says Republican by name only, right? He said, yes. I said, then I was the rhino. And he said, you? I said, yes. Listen to my message. It didn't sound like an average Republican. Look at how I talked. I talked about what the Republican Party wasn't doing, just like I talked about what the Democrat Party wasn't doing. While the Republican was beating a bass drum, what was I beating? A snare, right? He said, yeah, you was a little different than us. I said, okay, so then that makes you think about it. I was the rhino. I was the Republican by name only because of my stance, what I stood for, what I believed in. And you know what? everybody that agreed with me was a Republican, was a rhino too, Republican by name only, because they believe they believe the same stuff I believe. They believe that we could have done better. They believe that you say that we didn't believe in abortion, but at the same time we was funding Planned Parenthood. We said that the Republican Party was the party of God, but yet they let them close the churches down. So when anybody that agreed with that, then you was a rhino too. You know, you a Republican by name only, because you don't stand up. Man, look how many people was against the party itself that in this race. Look how many people that didn't want, as they called, the establishment. Look how many people that did not want what the party itself wanted. So everybody that didn't want the candidate that the party itself wanted was all rhinos, Republican by name only. So, you know, so when you really look at it, you know, it's a lot of us out there, a lot of you out there. So, you know, so now people say, well, I'm not a Republican, I'm just a conservative. So then that means you was a rhino, you was a Republican by name only. You had people that was patriots that say they patriots that wouldn't even connect themselves with the Republican Party. So when you start looking at this thing for what it is, you got dinos. Let me say, how would you say it? Democrat by name only, a dino. So you got dinos out there too. They're not really part of the Democrat Party. They don't really agree with what the Democrat Party stands for. They don't really go along with what the party stands for. So they are Democrats by name only too. They don't stand up for so they don't stand for that. So we have to look at this thing for what it really, really, really is. Most of us have morals. Most of us have values. Most of us, and the reason I'm using the word most of us is because some of us have not stood up yet. And I know you don't like what's going on. You'll say it behind closed doors. You just ain't came out publicly yet. But most of us that came out publicly does not stand for the same thing that they so-called parties stand for. And so I think that we have to look at it from a different perspective. Let me see, where were we at? Mount Hort. Kim, if you on here, please make sure I'm saying this right. Mount Hort, Wisconsin. I think that's where we were. And we was Dr. Duke Pestle and myself. We was the speakers at this event, and we went up there and spoke. And we spoke at this event. And when we spoke at this event, you had the alphabet, the LGBTQ plus teachers and everything there. And a lot of them was at one time they started off mean. And when I got through speaking, right, the moment I got through speaking, I asked a simple question. And that question that I asked was, how many of y'all really love the kids? And both sides raised their hand. I said, look around. And you see everybody raising their hand. Now, the one that y'all is opposite with, have a cup of coffee. Because here's the common goal. The common goal was the children. Now, we need to fix this, you know, and I guarantee you that if we would do what needs to be done to bless our children, we would be able to do it. Okay, you guys, I just saw backstage my guest. I'm so honored to have my guest here tonight. And it's time to have a little fun. You know, I'm excited. And so I told y'all I wasn't going to tell y'all who my special guest tonight was, but I was going to just wait. And now that they're here, I guess I can go ahead and introduce them. And I will ask her, as soon as she come on, you guys, I'm going to ask the first question, even before y'all already know who she is now, but I'm going to ask her the Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin question. You know, Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin, we're going to ask her the important question at the beginning, not at the end. So with further ado, let's welcome Judge Jennifer Darrow as she comes on and join us.
Good evening.
Good
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. First of all, let me just say thank you for coming on. I know it was last minute, but you decided to join us, and I'm honored to have you on Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin show. And so I got to ask you the number one question. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. Have you been to the Pine Cone?
Not in a really long time.
Uh-oh, see, they not in a real long. See, they starting now. So I got to ask you this question from the Pine Cone people.
Pumpkin or sweet potato pie? Ooh, I love me some sweet potatoes, so I'm going to go sweet potato pie.
All right, there you go. There you go. Ha ha, Stacy. No, but I'm honored to have you, and I know you had a busy day. You just left an event, and you ran home to be on here. So we honored to have you. So I'm gonna do it just like I do every other guest. I'm gonna put you full screen, tell the people about you, and why you running for Supreme Court judge. Okay?
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you to Dr. King for reaching out and for having me on. I am running for the Wisconsin Supreme Court because it's an incredibly important position and an incredibly important time to elect a justice to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I believe that it is critical that the next Supreme Court justice have an unwavering commitment to be fair and impartial, someone who won't legislate from the bench, someone who will not push a political agenda, but will take every case that comes before her and be open-minded and fair, read all of the briefs, listen to all of the arguments, read the law, do the research, and then make a decision that is needed in that case. And I'm just so excited to be in this race to bring to Wisconsin someone who is fair and impartial and who cares incredibly deeply for the state of Wisconsin and her future.
All right. Now, I'm so glad you said it that way because I want to say something that I try to tell people all the time. I want a Supreme Court justice that will follow the Constitution and the law, even if they don't side with me. And being that Supreme Court justice that can do that, you know, I give you an example. Justice Hagedorn. Everybody was upset with Justice Hagedorn, but they forgot why they sent him there. And if they sent him there to protect our constitutional rights and protect us according to the law, and he make a decision that it didn't follow their political side at that time, he was now called a rhino. Are you willing to be called names because you stood for the Constitution and you follow the law by the letter?
Absolutely. I wouldn't be asking the people of the state of Wisconsin to vote for me if I wasn't willing to stand up for the law as written, and to not push a political agenda, but make the right decision, even if it's a decision I personally don't agree with.
Uh-oh. So see, you must be hot seat already because questions are starting to come in already. So what I do is I'll put the question on the screen and then you can go, if one that you feel you shouldn't answer at this time, we're okay with you saying not at this time. So, they coming in left and right. Okay, so here's the first one.
Is she willing to stand for the Constitution? Absolutely. I wouldn't be asking the people to vote for me in the state of Wisconsin if I wasn't willing to honor the law as it's written, protect your constitutional rights, and again, be fair, and impartial with every decision that I make.
Okay. And so one of the things I was talking about before you came on too, and I know you probably seen it, you see it when you're dealing with court cases, you hear a lawyer say something that is not lined up with the Constitution. We elect people and they swear to defend the Constitution, but a lot of them have not really read it or studied it to know what it really says. And so I'm so glad that you are willing to stand on that. Somebody got a question, and I want you to touch this one if you don't mind.
So, what I think is interesting about that question is it's a word on my campaign literature. I'm using it in 2023, not meaning to suggest, and nowhere in my campaign literature am I saying that our rights are not given to us by God. I'm talking about, in that section of my literature, protecting the constitutional rights. And that is something that I've been doing for my entire career, as a prosecutor, as a defense attorney, as a judge. I have stood up for the Constitution. I consider it to be the highest law, right? If it's a Wisconsin Constitution, it is the highest law of Wisconsin. If it's the U.S. Constitution, of course, the law of the land. And it's very, very important to me. And I think it's a statement that people are using. It's kind of a cheap shot for some political points, but it's not saying what they say or what they think it's saying.
So won't you talk to us about your career? Talk to us, let us know how, Laura, we're going to save Milwaukee. Let me put this up before I turn you loose. Laura, listen. 2024, Dr. David King is running for mayor for the city of 2024, for the city of Milwaukee. So, Laura, if you want to see Milwaukee saved, I need your help. I am running in 2024 as mayor, so I need your help. Well, mic goes on and off. Is it my mic going on and off or her mic going on? Tojo, is her mic or my mic going on and off? So let's test it for a minute. Say something, Judge.
This is Judge Jennifer Doro.
One more time.
This is Judge Jennifer Doro. I'm happy to be on your show. Is it working?
It's going. He's saying both of our mics, but it's going good on my end. So Why don't you just start with your career? Let the people know Jennifer. I'm not even going to use Judge right now. Let people know Jennifer, because one of the things I tell people is you gotta know the person. Okay, let's move the title out of the way. Yeah. No Dr. King. I'm David. No Judge. You're Jennifer. So let the people know who Jennifer is. That's all right with you?
That would be great. Let me start a little bit earlier. So I'm a lifetime resident of Wisconsin. I was born in Milwaukee. My parents moved us out to Waukesha when I was 7, and I've been in Waukesha County ever since. And when I was in high school, I went to Waukesha South, and my mom, who's one of my heroes, she made sure that high school students at Waukesha South could be released with parental permission for some religious education once a week. It's called timeout, and it's something that's protected by U.S. Supreme Court cases. And she instilled in me two things that are so very, very important. She gave me my love of politics, and she gave me my faith, my legacy of my faith, and my love for Jesus Christ. And she's one of the reasons I went to law school following my graduation from Marquette University. And but while I was in high school, something that most people don't know is I was a hurdler and a sprinter and a jumper, and I held a state record for 22 years in the 100-meter high hurdles. Actually, it was broke the day or the weekend my daughter was born, and I'm really hoping that someday, she's only 12, but she's super fast and has got some hurdle skills that maybe one day we'll get it back in the family. And I ran at Marquette and actually started out at Drake University and ran there as well. And I think that's important because I'm kind of on a sprint right now and jumping over a lot of things. And so those skills are coming in handy. But I went to law school in part because I was very interested in First Amendment religious liberty law. That's why I went to Regent University. They have a public interest law firm called the American Center for Law and Justice. And that was what drew me in part because of the experience I had with my mom in high school. And but when I was there, I had a wonderful professor who had been a prosecutor, and he also had been the Attorney General of Guam, and I became his research assistant, and I really fell in love with criminal law, had an internship with the prosecuting office out there, and I was dating my now husband at the time, and he had become a police officer in the city of Waukesha, and really wanted to come back home, kind of join him in that public service. But it took a few years before I landed a job in the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office. So in my 26-year legal career, I've served as a prosecutor. I've been in private practice doing civil litigation, municipal prosecution, and of course, being an advocate for abused and neglected children. And then in 2011, I was appointed to the bench by Governor Walker, and then on the ballot in the spring of 2012, and then again in the spring of 2018, and of course, elected twice. And my 11 years on the bench, I've been doing many, many cases. I've had almost 16,000 cases assigned to me, family cases, civil cases, criminal cases. And what I want your viewers to know is that the people who come before me, the litigants, their families, the businesses, whomever they are, they're not just names on a piece of paper. They're real people whose decisions that I make are impacted. And that's a perspective that I'm going to take with me to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And that can include victims, witnesses, right? So many people are touched by our justice system. And one of the things that I am so committed to doing is being fair and impartial. And that doesn't mean, or that doesn't matter if the people before me are on their best behavior or on their worst behavior. Everyone deserves to be treated with fairness and dignity. And I've been able to do that my entire career. I've also been able to serve in some key leadership positions. I'm a chief judge in Wisconsin. That's an appointment directly from the Supreme Court. I've been appointed 3 consecutive 2-year terms, so once in 2017, 2019, and 2021. And in June, my colleagues on that 9-member committee appointed me or selected me to be the chair of that committee, or what we call chief of the chiefs. And so it's a very unique experience and background that I bring to the Supreme Court race. There's really no one else who has this depth and breadth of experience with the types of cases, the exposure, my work as a chief judge, and all of that, I believe, has led to some very key endorsements that I'm really proud of, including the Milwaukee Police Association, the Waukesha County Police Chiefs Association, almost 50 sheriffs. And when you look at my sheriffs, my police chiefs, my prosecutors, it's well over 100 and approaching 150. And it's something I'm so incredibly proud of because they took the time to vet me, to look at my background, to look at my experience, and put their name behind me as well. And the last person I want to mention is Justice Rogensack herself, and that is who's retiring and whose seat the 4 candidates, or at least the seat that she was in, that's the seat we're seeking to be elected to. So that's Jennifer Dorow in a nutshell, at least mostly my legal career and a little bit about my personal life.
Wow. So she endorsed you. Wasn't her daughter was supposed to get in this race, or is she in this race?
Her daughter's not in the race, but she did consider it early on.
Okay. So someone up in Westby, Wisconsin wanted to give you this message.
All right.
Yes. And that is.
Thank you.
His name is J. Rod. And he has a group up in Westby that he was trying to get you up there. And, so when we talk about this race, running a statewide race, because I just ran one, and you're going from point A to point Z across this state and talking to people and things like that. Most people are concerned about protecting our Constitution, our rights, and we know that the Supreme Court race is so important, but at the same time, we also know that it doesn't supposed to be a partisan race, but we understand that people are putting partisan people in the race. And so what would you say different between you and the other three?
One of the biggest differences is the experience and the depth and breadth of experience that I bring. I actually have more judicial experience with 11 years on the bench. That's more than any other candidate. And that's something that distinguishes me. I also have a broad appeal. In Wisconsin, we are pretty evenly divided. Whether you say it's Republican or Democrat, liberal, conservative, right or left, it's about 47, 48% on each side. At least that's what the data tells us. That means to win a statewide election, you have to have a much broader appeal. You not only pull from what you would consider to be your base, but from independents and even from the other side. And that's something very unique that I bring because I have that broad appeal. Many people were able to see me in action and how I run a courtroom day in and day out. At times, it was under some unusual and challenging circumstances. But what I want people to know is it doesn't matter if there's 1 million people watching what I'm doing or just a couple of people in the courtroom. That is what I do day in and day out. I treat people with dignity and respect, even if they're not treating me well, even if they're accused of some horrific things. I let them have their day in court. I listen to the arguments, and I always apply the law. I don't do things that are outcome driven. I do things that are law driven and then make the decisions that I need to make. And that's really important because we need a candidate who's electable as well. And that's what I bring. And that's why I'm asking all of your viewers to support me as well. I'm going to be someone who will always support the Constitution. And it's not Jennifer's Constitution. It's the people's Constitution. It's the Constitution as it was written so that there's predictability, reliability, and stability. That's the rule of law. And I will always stand behind that.
Okay, you have 2 questions popped up. I'm going to go. This one is from a young adult. So let's do the young adult first.
How did I respond to the vaccine mandate? Well, I work in Waukesha County, and we were not subject to a mandate. If you decided to get vaccinated, it was your choice. And if you did not want to, it was your choice as well. And so I don't spend a lot of time talking about what I do personally or what my political views are. And here's why. I've been criticizing 2 of the candidates on the left for openly pushing a political agenda, telling us all of their policy views and their values. But the problem with that is they're forecasting how they will vote or how they will rule on those particular issues. And in a way that's frankly unfair to any case that would come before them. They're saying the law doesn't matter, the facts don't matter. I'm just going to tell you how I'm going to rule because I'm telling you my values. That's wrong. I'm not running to be a state senator, a state assembly person, or the governor. I'm running to be a judge and a justice on the Supreme Court. And it's very important that I make decisions based on the law. And if that means putting my personal preferences aside, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. I've had to make decisions in my career that I didn't personally like, but the law required it, and that's my job. That's what we do as judges. I think one of the greatest analogies was used by Justice John Roberts from the U.S. Supreme Court. He says, judges are like umpires. We call the balls and strikes, right? We're not to swing a bat. We're not to throw the pitch. We're to call the legal balls and strikes as we see them. And that's what I've been doing for 11 years, and that's what I will continue to do on the Supreme Court if the people of Wisconsin give me that great honor.
Okay, she has part 2 of it, and then I'm going to get somebody, when I say the young people first, this is what they said to me, so they picking on me. But here's the second part of her question.
So, of course, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, when they heard that lawsuit and that challenge to what your viewer has called the shutdown order, that had to do with, did Secretary Palm follow the law when she entered that order? You remember the governor did the emergency declaration, and then Secretary Palm at one point issued that shutdown. And our Supreme Court, by a vote of 4-3, said that was an unlawful order and struck that down. And so on those types of cases that come before the court, it's always critical to look at the separation of powers. In that particular case, it was the Secretary of Health Services that she did something. And so the court was looking at, did she have authority and did she follow that authority? And that's why that was struck down. And so it's really important to always start with the legal issues that are there, then consider the factual aspect of it, and then make a decision. You never know when those types of issues would come up again. And so I don't necessarily tell you how I would rule in the future, but I do agree with the majority decision in that case that struck down what she did and found that it was an unlawful order.
Okay, the questions are coming in, so.
So I'm not going to address a specific question like that, but what I can tell you is there's a pecking order in the law, right? The Constitution is always the highest. A statute can't violate the Constitution. And so when you're looking at, as a judge or a justice, at legal challenges to something that's done, you have to, of course, consider the particular challenge that's raised, the arguments of the parties, the law that is at issue. And if a constitutional challenge is being made, then that, of course, is something that has to be addressed. And we look at the constitutional provisions as they were written, not how they mean today, because again, that doesn't lead to predictability or reliability or stability. We look at it how it was understood when enacted. But the bottom line is a statute can't violate the Constitution.
Okay, next question.
I guess I'm not quite understanding what the question is. If the question is, will I uphold the Constitution? Absolutely.
Okay, and not interpretation. Okay. So, being on the campaign trail, you know, you get people, and like I said, I'm experiencing it. I've been traveling the state numerous of times. I ran 2 statewide races. And so I think the hardest part of a statewide race is staying who you are and what you really believe in. Knowing that you're about to get some pitchforks, some stones thrown at you. So when we look at things that come into after the appeal court, they come to you guys, right? At the Supreme Court. And so what is, for example, we already know, and I don't want you to tell me how you feel about a certain thing, so we're not going to go on how you feel, because I really don't care how you feel, and I know you don't care how you feel. It's really what the Constitution itself says. So how can the people of Wisconsin and the viewers that's watching today, what could you say to them today that will make them feel comfortable that you are going to do it, whether they like it or not, straight Constitution? Because like I said when we started, I'd rather you rule against me as long as it line up with the Constitution. I don't want to say I vote for you and I want you to do it this way, but I want you to, as a justice, that you're gonna go straight. You're not gonna curve. Even the Bible says, do not sway to the left nor the right. So what guarantee through you that you would share with us that you will be that person that not sway neither way, but just stay on the Constitution?
I sought to be a judge in 2011 because I believe in the Constitution. I believe in interpreting the Constitution as written and how it was understood at that time, and not imposing my personal views or modernizing it. The bottom line is, if we as a people want to change the laws that we have a legislative process. See, it's honoring the separation of powers that our founders set up. It's honoring the role as a judge, right? Sometimes as a judge, we have to call into question when the case presents itself to hold the executive branch or the legislative branch in check because they've stepped outside of their lane. But you should also expect that as a judge, I'm going to stay in my lane as well and not legislate from the bench. And so at its core, right, and maybe saying it this way, simply put, I will uphold the law as written and then apply that law to the facts of the cases that come before me. I understand the pecking order, if you will. And I want to make sure that we have a Supreme Court that honors that rule of law, that honors the Constitution, where justices protect our constitutional rights. And again, never, ever legislate from the bench. That's a core belief, along with being fair and impartial.
Okay. So the next question, and I know you probably get this question all over the state, and so this would be a great time to answer this one. All right? You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right. There you go.
I would not be a credible candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court if I was running off of one case. I have 11 years of experience. And for me, I looked at the timing of this, and that is Justice Rogensack is retiring. That left a vacancy, or will leave a vacancy at the end of her term. And it's my experience, including being a chief judge, and my ability to have a broader appeal, and given the issues that are facing Wisconsin, and meaning how important this election is, I said, this is the right time for me to run. It's not because of one case. You simply got a glimpse, you got a snapshot into how I run court every single day, but that's not why I'm running.
Okay. Now, and I'm so glad you're on here, because a lot of people are, with this next question, a lot of people are confused on what's a law versus a organization rights to say yes or no to a person. And so they need to understand, a lot of people don't understand the Supreme Court justice. This is one of the reasons why I was so excited when you said yes. So people who really don't know or don't pay it no attention know what it really is. I remember in 2000, I think it was 2008, I brought a Supreme Court candidate to the city of Milwaukee for the first time to the average Joe in the community, and says, okay, y'all, this is a Supreme Court person. And they was like, oh my God, what do the Supreme Court do? Because a lot of people never really paid it no attention. So here's the next question, and you can tell me what you want to do with it.
So that's I'm not sure what the question they're asking is, but if I look at what you were talking about and, what does a Supreme Court justice do?
So I think this person, this is something they experienced. They was denied health care at a place because they wouldn't wear a mask. So, and let me see, she don't know, I'm not sure if I'm looking at it right.
Let me just address it this way. One of the things I cannot do is give legal advice, and I can't give what could be seen as like an advisory opinion. Judges and justices decide the cases that come before them, and only those cases. That requires litigation for the Supreme Court. That's either through the direct appeal process. There is something called original jurisdiction as well. But that's the difference between, a legislator and a justice. A legislator is going to consider all of these policy arguments. They're going to enact laws, whereas a Supreme Court justice is going to interpret what the law is, if that's the particular challenge that's before him or her or the court as a whole. We decide legal issues, not policy issues. At least that's my view, right? Folks on the left want to decide policy as part of their judicial decision making, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. We need to stick to the law. And that involves hearing cases that come before us that raise particular issues. And then we look at the facts surrounding that as well, and make decisions.
I think with this one, and this is why, like I said, I'm so glad, because people need to know, this one to me, it sounds like more of a civil suit than it is going to the Supreme Court, because this is like personal injury. You was denied something that, it would never make it to the Supreme Court. You know what I mean? Because, all they got to say is that's our policy, and any company can make a policy, that this is our company policy. I was working in corporate America, and one of their policies is, whether you on the clock or off the clock, your conduct has to be, you have to carry yourself in a certain way, because if you get arrested for anything or you do anything, you can get fired because you misrepresent the company. And we signed that policy. So it's no way we could have did anything behind it. So, I think that a lot of times we need to know the different branches of the court system, so that we'll know where to go. Because a lot of times we can't go straight to the Supreme Court and say, fix this, So I don't know who this person right here is. Oh, I do know who this person is. Their name just not coming up. And I'm not going to say their name. I'm just going to let you see what they wrote.
So I have long been someone who has said our current system of cash bail in Wisconsin is not working. The bottom line is dangerous criminals accused of serious crimes should be locked up, period. Under Wisconsin's current law, including the constitutional provisions that apply to bail, a judge is limited to looking at someone's flight risk in order to set cash bail. There's a constitutional amendment that will be on the ballot this spring, on the April ballot. And it will allow judges like me to put public safety first by considering the dangerousness of the person, looking at the crime that they're accused of, their prior record, and their flight risk. That's important. It's a good step. I am supporting it. It also allows people to be held without any amount of cash in certain circumstances. And those are good amendments, long needed. I have not been someone who has said the current system works well. the bottom line is it does not prioritize public safety, and that has always been my number one criticism. The system in Wisconsin needs to be different. I did not have anything to do with the setting of bail for Mr. Brooks in any of his Milwaukee County cases. Those things were set by someone else. I presided over the trial because that was assigned to me.
So let me do this. And I want you to address this to the best of your ability. This race is so important to all of our lives. Who gets to that seat will determine if the Constitution is going to be followed or not. And we just got to be real about that. And so there is one of the things that we, the people, I'm finding out, end up doing is dividing ourselves, and we lose we lose on the big picture, right? So please, for me, address the division of we the people when it comes to this election right here and how important this election is. Because again, the problem we have is we pick a side, and then whether they candidate win or lose, they go home, they take their basketball and go home because they don't see the bigger picture. And so how do we, as a candidate for the most highest court in the state of Wisconsin, what message would you give to the people on how important this race is and how we supposed to, I'm going to say it this way because people know I say things the way I say them anyway. I don't care. Put on a big boy draws and act right to do what's right for our children and grandchildren, because if the Supreme Court goes in the opposite direction, a lot of people are going to be messed up. So what would you say to the people that are fighting and not uniting?
So I have been saying all along that if I am not the conservative candidate that comes through the primary on February 22nd, elections on the 21st, we'll probably, God willing, know on the 22nd who has the top votes, the first two people to get through. And if I'm not one of those people, and the other conservative candidate, Dan Kelly, is that person, I will unequivocally support him, get behind him, endorse him, and do what I can to make sure that he's elected the next Supreme Court justice. Unfortunately, he will not make that same commitment. He has not done so yet in this race. And I know your viewers know how important this is. That's one of the topics, unity, that a lot of people are talking about on the campaign trail. And we as conservatives, we need to learn from some lessons from the recent past in Wisconsin and how that impacted the race for governor this last fall. I'm not going to pack up and go home, even if I'm not on the April ballot. I'm going to continue to campaign and continue to ensure that a conservative candidate is elected. It's that important. Too much is at stake.
And you know, my problem, and people know, I'm also a pastor, so it's time to have a come to Jesus moment. And so one of the things that what we have to look at and what we have to understand is it's not about our feelings. This is about our rights. This is about the Constitution. And this is about the founding fathers. George Washington, in his farewell address, warned us what would happen if this nation ever become a two-party system. It would destroy itself. Jesus said it in the Bible that a kingdom divided cannot stand. And what the conservative side is doing, we are so divided. That's why we can't win nothing. We are so divided, and we claim to love God and we hating one another because of something that is silly. And so how do we protect our rights and our freedom when we're fighting, and then if we don't win, we pack up and go home? So what you're saying is we don't care about our freedom. We don't care about the Constitution. We don't care. And the only way we care if the person we like is in that office. It's not about who I like. It's about who's going to stand for my rights. Who's going to stand for the Constitution. I can like you, take you to lunch, take you to dinner. But if you're not the one that's going to stand for my Constitution, I still ain't going to vote for you. But if I know you're going to stand on the Constitution and you're going to do what's right, then yes. But I would never know that unless I take you to dinner to find out about you. And we're allowing people to, what's the word I want to use? Taint people because of the way they feel. And so, I was just reading one of the posts somebody put. And so when we look at it from what it is, you know, this is one of the reasons why I wanted you on. I want to be, I wrote a book called Why It's Important to Stay in the Middle from a Kingdom Perspective. And if I'm representing God, I want to stand in that middle. So I want any candidate to come on and share because of the fact. Now, do that mean I'm going to support a liberal candidate? No, because you don't line up with what I believe in. But I will have you on the show, and I will have a nice powwow with you because you're going to have to explain some stuff to me. But I'm not going to not allow you on the show. And that's the problem we have. You have people that have shows, whether it's a podcast or the radio station, and they only allow the one they like on the show. That's not fair for the people. I want the people to know you. I want the people to know Dan Kelly. I want people to hear from you just as they hear from Dan Kelly, and let them make that decision for themselves. But when we got this bickering and fighting going on, and like you say, another one bite the dust if we continue this bickering and we allow that liberal to go in there and vote according to what their policies is and not what the Constitution is. And so that is scary to see that happen. And so one of the things that I would say is that when you look at this race, and I know you said he has not said it yet, and so those who are supporting him, I would love for them to ask him that question to see, will he do it too? Because he needs to come out. It was 8 of us in the lieutenant governor race. And I said, whoever beat me in August, I will come out for them. And I did. I came out for him. I came out for Tim Michaels. I told the people who to vote for because I'm a man of my word. And if I say I'm going to support, if I win or lose, then I'm going to support. I just heard you say it. I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to see if I can get him back on the show and ask him that same question. Will you support her if she wins? I want you to be able to open out your mouth and tell the people what you said, because now what we have to do is we're going to find out who are the people of integrity, who are the people of their word, who are the people, because if you're not that person, then we lose out. And I'm tired of losing. I don't lose. So I'm tired of it. So let me ask you this question here. As a Supreme Court justice, once you win, and we know there's a lot of cases going to come your way. Let me put what somebody wrote.
I think we all want that.
Oh yeah, that would be lovely. That would be lovely to have both.
You know, Dr. King, it's important that, you know what, this is not about me. I'm not doing this and entering this race and wanting to be on the Supreme Court for me. I'm doing it for my children, my children's children, and for the people of Wisconsin. And so, again, if I don't come through that primary and Dan Kelly does, I'm going to be asking everyone who supported me to circle around, to support in every way possible Dan Kelly's race because it's that important. I, of course, want to get through the primary. I want to be on the April ballot. You know, all you need to look at, Dr. King, is what the far left special interest, meaning outside money, is trying to do to me. They're spending $1.5 million in a primary to try to taint my name and take me out. And they're doing that because they don't want to face me in April. They know that I have broad appeal and that I can win. And so they're pulling out everything. They're sending out misinformation and they're distorting cases that I presided over as a judge. 4 cases. I've been assigned over almost 16,000 cases in my career. I'd ask your viewers, please don't listen to that nonsense, that distraction. Look at my entire record. Look at the people who support me, who are endorsing me, who have vetted me as a conservative. People like Justice Rogan Sack, people like almost 50 sheriffs, right? Dozens and dozens of police chiefs, you know, including Alfonso Morales, who was the former police chief in Milwaukee, including the Milwaukee Police Association, including the Waukesha County Police Chiefs Association. This is so important. The left, the far left, they know it. And that's why they're trying to take me out in this primary. Like I said, if it happens, I'm going to support Dan Kelly. But we cannot let, right, 2 liberals come through the primary either. We need to, because they're both running on policy agendas, political agendas. That's not fair. That's not being impartial. That's taking the Constitution and turning it on its head. And so that's why we need people now take a stand, vote in this primary, pick the person who's the most electable. And of course has the correct judicial philosophy, you know, but former Justice Dan Kelly and I, we really don't disagree much when it comes to how we interpret the Constitution. I would say we're in lockstep. What's important, though, is putting someone forward who can win. He was great. He did great things for us. He had his time, but he lost by almost 11 points to a candidate who had only 3 years of judicial experience. We can't let that happen again.
Right. Now, I'm going to put this up. Again, like I say, I'll put it up because if I don't put this one up, it does injustice to you, and I'm not that type of person. So I'm going to put this up. You can touch it or not, but it's out there. Somebody wrote it. I'm going to put it up and let you decide, okay?
You know, I was a criminal defense attorney. I represented people with respectfully, professionally, and ethically. Our founders understood that in order for there to be a free society, there needed to be a number of constitutional rights. They're in our Bill of Rights, protecting the accused. Any prosecutor will tell you they'd rather try a case and when there's a defense attorney on the other side. I'm proud of the work that I did, not because I'm proud of what the people did, but because I protected people's rights. And people were accused of horrible things. But that doesn't mean I condone what they did or what they were accused of. You need only look at the Waukesha Christmas Parade attack case to know how difficult it can be for victims when someone is unrepresented. And I have an incredible experience of 26 years being on all sides of the issues when it comes to criminal law. Those are real cases that come up to the Supreme Court as well. And that gives me a perspective that, frankly, no one else in the field has. I understand people have a lot of life experiences that they certainly didn't ask to be a part of, where they're hurt and traumatized. I understand, as a former prosecutor and a former defense attorney, how life-altering that can be. But our Constitution, Abraham Lincoln was a criminal defense attorney. John Adams was a defense attorney. You know who was the best defense attorney of all? Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I'm proud to have done that work.
Okay. And, I think that when we look at this thing, when we look at things and say, but you represented a rapist, you represented a pedophile, you represented a murderer, you represented a bank robber, or whatever it is. One of the things that we have to understand and realize is, according to the Constitution, no matter what they did, they still have a right to a trial. They still have a right to, and I'm not defending a rapist. I myself is a victim that been sexual assaulted when I was a child. So I'm not defending anybody for what they've done or anything like that. But let's take the Brooke trial for example, right? He was charged with first-degree intentional, right? Is that the
Yes.
charge? Okay.
6 of the charges were first-degree intentional homicide.
Right. Now, if he would have said something like, well, I didn't intentionally do it, and you have to prove that I intentionally did it, then they would have said, well, you did. You got the video. You intentionally did it, right? But he still had the right to go to trial. He had that right. He could have waived that right and say, nope, I don't want to go to trial. I'm guilty. Do what you got to do to me. But he had a right to defend himself. He had no matter what we had on camera, no matter what we saw, his rights as a citizen was still on that table, where he had a right to a fair trial. He had that right. No matter how we felt about it, he had that right. And he needed to have that opportunity to go to trial, and whether he won or lost, which we know he lost, but he had that right. And that's something that we forget sometimes, that even though they are criminals, but they are innocent until proven guilty, but even though they are criminals, they still have a right to that fair trial. That's what the Constitution is all about. That's what the Bill of Rights is all about. And if we're saying that we're going to do a jury trial in our mind and that they should not go to court, then we are just as worse as anybody else. So we have to allow them their rights as well. Go to court. That's the first thing that the police say to them when they arrest them, right? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have a right to an attorney. You arrested me, but you're telling me all my rights that I'm doing, and you have a right to an attorney. If you don't have that, if you don't have no money, then we will appoint one for you, but you have that right. You have that right to be defended. And this is one of the things that I love about what we're talking about when it comes to the Constitution. Are we going to, whether we like it or not, are we going to stand on that Constitution? Like you said, Christ himself was a great defender. So while we're going he said, I paid that price. I paid. So if I'm going to, if the highest lawyer in the world can stand up and says, I'm defending this person, I know in your eyes, he done terrible things, but that too, I have accepted. And I use this a lot. Jeffrey Dahmer. Somebody said Jeffrey Dahmer asked Jesus Christ to forgive him and then come into his life to be his Lord and Savior. And he was killed in jail. If he did ask Christ, then he's in heaven. But then you got some people down here who says, I would never forgive, even though it wasn't even their family member, but I would never forgive. They could end up in hell for unforgiveness. That's the beauty of the Bible to me, and I tell people all the time, the Bible is the kingdom of heaven constitution. And the Constitution says that if you ask for forgiveness, you shall be forgiven. So we can't bully nobody or talk down on. So are we going to talk down on Jesus because he defended the worst of the worst? Not at all. So what we have to do is it lining up with the Constitution? Everything that we're dealing with when it comes to Supreme Court judges, is they lining it up with the Constitution? Is it lining up with the Bill of Rights? Is it lining up to protect? Because technically, law was created to protect us, not to hurt us, not to destroy us, but it was there to protect us. And protect what? Our freedom. So are we going to govern by that, or are we going to govern by our emotions, special interest group, or whatever? Because like you say, if those left get in there, they don't care about what the Constitution say. They only going to go by who pushed them and pushed that agenda. For example, we already know they're going to push the agenda when it comes to abortion. We already know they're going to push agendas that are going to go against what we believe in, what our morals are, and what the Constitution say. They're going to try to rule against the Constitution. Why? Because they already saying the Constitution is outdated. So we already know the agenda. So if we're going to be that blinded with hatred and dislike of a person so they can win, then whatever happened, we ain't got no complaints. We shouldn't say a word. And I know you've been on, it's been an hour since you've been on. And so, but I'm not going to hold you because I know you run the state. I know how it is to run across the state. But I want you to take some time and just talk to the people. Let them hear your heart. Let them just hear. Now I'm gonna put the respect back on it. Let them hear Judge Jennifer, talk from a legal point and a mom point and a future grandma point. I don't know. Are you a grandma now?
Not yet.
Okay. In a future grandma point. So go right ahead.
Well, thank you, Dr. King, again for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure, and I can tell from the questions that were asked, you have people who really care about the community, they care about our state. And I'm going to start with that again. I'm in this race, running to be the next Supreme Court justice because I care so very much about Wisconsin and her future. This is my home. I have been here my entire life. And I want to do my part to ensure that Wisconsin is a safe and secure place in which to live, work, and play, where justices uphold the rule of law, protect our constitutional rights, and never legislate from the bench. I want to do that for my kids, my hopeful grandchildren someday, and of course, all families in Wisconsin. I've had the honor and privilege of doing that for 11 years on the bench in Waukesha County. I'd be honored to do the same on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I'd ask for your support. I ask for your vote. There is a primary, February 21st. Early voting started Tuesday. In Milwaukee, I believe you can early vote until the Sunday before that Tuesday. So that's the 19th. If you're watching from other counties, at least in Waukesha County, my home county, it's to that Friday, the 18th. And it's important that you bring to the polls your friends, your family, your neighbors, that you tell 5, 10, 20 people, how important this election is, how you're going to vote. So then they can tell 5, 10, 20 or more. That's how we're going to win this election, right? I'm more concerned about winning in April, frankly, than winning in February. I want to be the one who's on the ballot in April, and I need your support. But it's so important that we get a conservative, a judicial conservative, someone who will uphold the Constitution as written. So please, if you want to find out more information, you can go to judgejennifer.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you are so inclined to support, on the website, there's a digital postcard that you can actually download to your phone, to your computer, and you can email it, you can text it, and you can encourage people to vote that way as well. And again, I just want to thank you, Dr. King, for having me on. It's been a pleasure. And again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming on, and especially at the last minute. I've been trying to find you and hunt you down for a while, but we got it. So I am definitely grateful. And I do want to say, you guys, hold on. Let's do this.
Carrot cake's a good option too. I'll definitely try it.
You got the pine cone gang out here. So, but if you ever in Milwaukee, you need to go to El Greco's on 91st and Appleton.
Okay.
You will love it. I mean, the food is good. They got big slices of cake, and just tell them Dr. King sent you, and or you might run into me there because I'm always there. So, but I really want to say, one of the things that we do with Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin is every Saturday night we're teaching the Constitution. We did the United States Constitution. Now we're on the Wisconsin Constitution. Don't vote for somebody if you don't even know the Constitution. So start studying the Constitution so you can ask questions on the Constitution so you'll know they understand the Constitution. Don't just vote for a person because they're a woman or they're a man, they're black or white or whatever. Vote for them because they know the job and that they will do a great job. This is what we have to do. I am excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm grateful that you joined us. And for those that have been watching from YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Rumble, and Facebook, I am just grateful. There's a bishop on here. He says, good show. So we thank him for being on there. Are you coming into Milwaukee soon?
They keep track of my schedule. I have been to some churches in Milwaukee. I'd like to get to some more churches. I think it's a really important place to remind people the importance of this election and what's at stake. I've been to some other events as well. So I've got a full-time job yet to do as well. We've had a little bit of a schedule change, so my week has opened up this next week. But otherwise, I'm starting a pretty big trial on the 27th of February. Got bumped by 2 weeks. So I'm kind of trying to figure out where we can go this next week. And I know they'll pack my schedule. It's pretty packed from what I can see already. And I think Victory is on my list of places to go as well. That might be next, not this Sunday, but that might be coming up the Sunday after. So
Okay.
I've heard really good things about Victory Center in Madison, but I'd like to get to some more churches in Milwaukee.
Oh yeah, Victory Center in Madison is. I love to call one of my sister churches, and we was doing when the shutdown happened. We never shut down, and then we did service at the state capitol. So yeah, they're good. And so I'm not going to bug you, but once you come out of the primary, I am going to bug you. But if you got some free time before, I would love to have you back on. Just like I told Dan Kelly, I would love to have back on because I want to empower the people. I want them to know. If they don't know, then it won't help. But I will continue to do these type of shows and encourage people. Again, 2320 Cambridge Street in Milwaukee. We'll be at the library this Monday on the retour, restoring family, rebuilding community, reconnecting with our neighbors, recommitting to changing the city of Milwaukee, and reestablishing trust in our city. We would love to have you there 5:30 to 7 p.m. this Monday night at the East Branch Library, and we're running a tour through every library in the city of Milwaukee. So we would love for you guys to come out. Again, I thank you. This been good for me to have you on the show and you sharing your things, and you addressing some things that people probably heard about you but never understood the why. And this is what I love. I love the people to get a chance to say the whys. I don't know if J. Rod is still on here, but he's all the way up in West B. If you get a chance, oh my God, you need to visit West B. Those people in Vernon County, oh my God, they are a great bunch of people up there. So if they can get you on the schedule to go see J. Rod, it'll be worth it. I tell you that.
I'll take a look at that.
Yes, and when you see the setup, it's gonna blow your mind. So it's great to be there. So we thank everybody for being on with us tonight. Judge Jennifer has done an amazing job tonight. So you guys, you just look up. You know, she says bet her. So better. Look at all the cases she was on. Look at when she was a defense attorney. Look at when she was on the DA. Look at her work and see for yourself the type of person that she is, because the work is out there already. You can't change the work. So just look at a couple of cases. Don't just look at the Brooke case. Look at a couple of more cases. See how she did on those cases as well. And, you know, she's also said you are the chief judge, right? Okay. So, you know, look at her work as a chief judge. I don't think nobody gonna just make you the chief judge, you know, because you went around and gave them some Avons or anything. You have to earn that. So you guys just look her up and see for yourself and get the questions answered for yourself. Don't go off of what somebody else say, but get the answer for yourself. So I thank you again for coming on and being with us. You know, I got to give you a now.
Well, I just want to say thank you to you, Dr. King, for all you do and the inspiration that I know you are to many. You're fighting a good fight, so keep it up.
Oh, well, thank you. Now, for the Jefferson County people, you have to go to the Pine Cone and take a picture and post it on Facebook that you was at the Pine Cone. So they feel a certain way if we don't go to the Pine Cone. So
I've been to Highway Harry's. Does that count for something?
Oh yes, Highway Harry counts. We had a what did we have there? Oh, we had a Wisconsin what did we have? Wisconsin revival rally where we had pastors and patriots speaking at Highway Harry, and it was so packed that they had some outside. So yeah, so we've been to Highway Harry, and I don't know if you let Stacy say it, they might not give you a pass. You're gonna have to go to the Pine Cone. Just here it is. Get your gas there. Go get you a cookie and take a picture. Say I'm at the Pine Cone. They'll be okay. So we thank you again. I'm gonna let you go be with your family because I know you done had a long day. And until next time, we love you and thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. So everybody, we thank Judge Jennifer Darrow for being with us tonight. And you guys do your homework, vet your candidates. Not only vet her, but vet every candidate. Vet the alderman race, vet the school board race, vet if there's a dog catcher running for office, vet the dog catcher. Make sure they doing the job because they love to see safety, or they just hate dogs and they love to see them locked up. No, I'm just joking. But you got to look at everything. You cannot just go by somebody else. Do your homework. Do it yourself. You got to do the homework. So I'm just grateful, and I thank everybody for being here, showing up tonight, because I love just sending out information. I love to see people be empowered. So I thank you guys. Again, tomorrow night, the constitutional teaching, we will be teaching on the Wisconsin Constitution with Abigail and Mercy. That's Amber and Sarah. Until tomorrow night, you guys, we love you. We thank God for you, and we hope to see you then. God bless.
Kingdom citizen, yeah, yeah.